G'day guys, John here from J&A Down Under. Today we're here with Jamie and Aaron from the A1 Muffler and four-wheel drive centre here at East Maitland. They're the guys that do the servicing on the truck. And today we're going to get the 60,000k service done on our Isuzu NPS. Now we opt to get our services done on our truck every 10,000 k's as opposed to the recommended every 20,000 k's. So Jamie, I want to ask you, mate, what benefits or what advantages do we have servicing this truck every 10 as opposed to every 20,000 kilometres?
I think the biggest part is people got to really look at what they use their truck for. It's not on the highway going long distance, they're short stop. So the benefits of doing every 10,000 kilometres, you're going to have longer longevity with your engine. It's going to last longer, less wear, and it's just going to be better all the way around.
So there we go. So basically, yeah, these trucks will probably even last a lot longer. And like most of you out there that invest in these trucks, you're going to keep them for a very long time. And I guess with a guy with over 30 years experience in the industry, they're the ones that we've got to sort of listen to. All right, let's get into it. Let's see what we've got to do for this service. So we're going to go through the whole truck today. We're going to show you what we need to do for the 60,000k service and what our components are going to look like. This truck's been through mud, sand, dirt, rain, hail, shine, whatever, and everything it can throw at it. So it's going to be a pretty good example of what to expect on your trucks when you get to 60,000 k's. So let's get into it. So Aaron's just got the truck there idling out the back now, mate, and he's put the additive into the oil. So explain to me there what he's doing and why have we got the truck idling with this additive?
So what I found over time, so oil goes black for reasons, and that's carbon build up from this engine being so high in pressure. So fuel goes past, so we've got to clean all this out. So what I found is that what we do is we put a oil flush in it. We let the engine run for say 20-30 minutes at a high idle, and that will start to clean out all your piston rings and bring it back to where it needs to be. There's a lot of conjecture out there. You must run catch cans, you must run all this stuff. It's not really needed. A lot of people will question it. Catch cans are a great unit, but they are a demise of turbos. They build pressure, create problems. So we use a flush, and by using this flush, we're going to maintain that engine to the level that it needs to be from standard. So cleaning it out, our oil stays cleaner longer, so less engine wear. So there's a lot of benefits to doing this.
So if we use the flush for our service, every service, we put the flush through before we drain the oil. In your opinion, you don't need a catch can in the truck, and your carbon build-up won't be as prominent as what it was.
So what we've done is adapted everything we've had for four-wheel drives. We do a lot of 79s, a lot of 200 Land Cruisers, and we just found by doing this, we just don't see the effects like we did if you don't clean out your oil. Your oil stays cleaner longer, so by it staying cleaner longer, it's doing the job it needs to do. So catch cans, it's just an unnecessary evil that doesn't need to be there.
Yes. So all we do, we put the additive in, cleans the carbon out, we drain the oil, and then we just continue the service as we normally would.
That's it. So then we put an oil modifier in to help stabilise as well and help burn off all the excess fuel so it doesn't mix with the oil. And that just gives us longevity and gives us better between services, less oil usage, and just better outcome all the way around.
So we put the modifier in, so once we put the new oil in, we put the modifier.
Yeah, we put a stabiliser in, and that conditions the oil. That goes into your car, a truck, and that will maintain it for the next 10,000 kilometres. And that it's as simple as that. You stick to this, and you'll have longevity out of your engine.
Perfect. Oh, we better get into it.
So the first thing you need to look for is we've just pulled the full drive system apart, and looking at this grease, it tells you straight away it's still in really good condition. There's no water injected. It shows you that it's been well sealed, which is a good sign, which is awesome. So the next thing we're going to do is grab this circlip, we're going to pull that off, then we're going to undo these bolts, and we'll use a couple of bolts and we just pull that whole hub off. That's for your full drive lock. That's it. That's how easy it is to pull off. Now we can see in here, you can see the grease is starting to get black, so that tells me how much the wheel bearing's been working. So when the grease starts to go black, that's just the bearing because it's getting hot, and that changes the discoloration of the whole process.
Well, you're working hard, mate, but Aaron seems to be laying down on the job here.
Come on.
That oil there, Jono, you can see how black it is.
Yeah, coming
after the
out.
flush, yeah.
Yeah, it is black, isn't it? Yeah. So the flush does make a big difference, doesn't it?
Oh, extremely.
So if you didn't flush it, that'd just end up in the engine, wouldn't it?
It does. So what ends up doing is carbon. A lot of vehicles create hard spots from carbon. So what ends up happening is it just goes through the system and creates premature wear, and that's the last thing you need. And that's why it's so important to flush it out so it's no longer there anymore.
What's that you got there, mate?
So on these nuts for tensioning wheel bearings, you actually need this tool. So this is a pin, so we put in both of these holes, and what we do is, that's how we tension it. They're not a captive nut of any description or a nut, like most cars. So without having this tool, yes, if you're in a situation where you've got no choice, you can use a pin punch, but ideally, to get the right preload, you would use this tool, and that's as simple as that. We've just pulled this wheel bearing off to have a look. We're servicing them at 60,000 kilometres, and that's actually really, really good. You can see just here this little bit of rust, so that's actually water. So this is actually a good indication and a good time. 60,000 kilometres would be ideal to service your wheel bearings. But just on inspection, we've just noticed this wheel cylinder leaking. So I would suspect if you service your truck every 20,000 Ks and don't adjust brakes and you have a long pedal, this is what creates this problem. Your wheel cylinder overreaches all the time and it's working too hard. So that's what's the biggest cause of this is we've checked the fluid, there's no water in it. So I suspect that's just because it's had a long pedal. That's an easy fix. Yes, it's warrantable, but while we're here, it's a pretty simple fix to do. Yes, it's a little bit of money, but time-wise, it's better to do it now. So we'll get that sorted for Jono, and yeah, happy days. We'll get it all sorted, and away we go. What I've done, put the backing plate off, because we've got to undo these bolts for the wheel cylinder. It just gives us easy access, because on this model, it's got swivel hubs, and you can't actually gain access to these too easy with it on there. So it's easy to pull it apart, have it like this, pull it apart, Happy days.
So what do we do? Clean all the old grease out?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realise you can buy clay-based and petroleum-based grease, and you can't mix them because they just don't run together. So if you don't know what type of grease you got, it's always best to clean it right out, get rid of it, and start again. When we reseal this phase, these bolts got to be sealed at the same time. So if there's grease in it, the sealant won't keep it sealed.
Oh, right. We could end up with water, sand,
Yeah.
whatever contaminants it
Like if you had to do an emergency and pull it apart and fix something, sure, and you got that sealant, you can put it back together. But you know, as soon as the opportunity arises and you can put sealant on it, make sure all these threads are sealed, so that way you don't get water ingestion.
So what are we knocking in there, mate?
Just a new seal for the wheel bearing. This is what stops the grease coming out and helps prevent anything entering it. So it's always good practice to put a seal on every time you do it. It's just cheap insurance.
Oh, so that's a new seal, is it?
Yeah. So that's the old seal. We've knocked it off. It looks pretty good. You can see there's a little bit of wetness, but that's just, mate, for 60,000 K, that's awesome. Usually when they're destroyed or they've got hot or worn, you see a lot of oil, and especially in around here, and we haven't even cleaned in there. That's how good it is. So it's very good to see that there's no contamination. So that just tells me straight away that you're not a bad driver, Jono.
Doing here, mate, just using the needle to make sure the grease gets in there, right?
Yeah, so basically the needle's going in, just using the needle, put it in so all the grease goes inside the bearing, a lot easier.
So how we found, in summary, I guess, the two front bearings didn't look too bad after all, did they, mate?
No, everything was really good. The bearings have held up really well, which is awesome to see up to 60,000 Ks. So it goes to show the big difference between having a truck with all this weight on it and having a normal car.
So if we were to do a comparison, and I love Land Cruisers, I've had 14 of them, but if we were to do a comparison of a bearing change like this at 60,000 Ks, is there much of a difference?
If this was, say, 79, this bearing would be nearly shot with it if it had the same kind of weight. You got to do Land Cruiser bearings every 40,000 Ks. People have different ways, but I'm a big believer. If you change bearings and look at them quite often, they'll look after you. But this bearing, mate, is exceptional. It's got no wear in it. Looks really good. Everything it's normal wear and tear, which is good to see. And from something like this, with this weight, it's just, yeah, it makes a really big difference when it comes to knowing that you're going to be travelling in Australia. You don't have to worry about bearings. Obviously, there's variants, like if you do a lot of water crossings and all that kind of stuff, but for what you've done, this is awesome.
Yeah, so we get that back together. It's as good as new, mate. Better than what it was in the factory, eh?
Well, it's going to be pretty close.
I suppose too. Looking at the brakes too, it shows you that the exhaust brakes in these, when used with the gears, does make a big difference here. 60,000 k's on that, and those things there's not much wear. So I guess I know you get a lot of comments of people saying, you know, it's just the exhaust brakes like putting a paper bag out the window, but at the end of the day, you use it in conjunction with your gears, it does make a difference on these pads, doesn't it?
Oh, exactly. If you drive this car accordingly, because it is heavy, you're not going to get a lot of brake wear, especially if you're using your exhaust brake. It's just a given. If you drive it like a race car or like you stole it, of course it's going to have premature wear. And mate, these brake pads, you start getting into that, we start talking a lot of money. It's not like your average Land Cruiser where you can get a set of pads for $80. Like, this is $1,000 job every time you do brakes. Why would you go to that extreme if you can avoid it? That's my answer. Like, a good way to know whether you're hard on the brakes or not is these usually fill up with brake dust and there's nothing in it. Like, it's so minimal. That's a good looking pad. Like, that just shows that you're not hard on the gear at all, which is...
What you're saying, mate, is, in a nutshell, I'm a good driver.
Well, I would like to think it's Ant's driving, not you. Now with this, there's two pins, so you got to look for, there's a pin there and a pin there. That's what lines up there. If you don't line it up, you'll never get it back together. Both sides have got that washer, and what that does is limits how that CV moves in and out. It'd be very, very easy to forget that. So make sure when you pull it apart that goes back in. That just takes up the slack.
Let's clean it up to give it a good seal.
Yeah, just take all the bit of what's left and we'll chuck some more sealant on and no more problems. Don't need water getting in there.
Just here doing a bit of a brake adjustment.
Yep, so after doing the bearings, on every service, we need to adjust brakes. And that stops, you get the long pedal, and that'll save us replacing the wheel cylinder like we did on that passenger side. Wheel cylinders don't like travel, so yeah.
Is that, eh?
Yep. So the handbrake's in here.
So that's on the tail shaft on these, isn't it? Not on the...
Yeah, so basically it's on the tail shaft side of it. You got like a little adjuster in there because there's like obviously two shoes. You sit in here, you just tighten it up, back it off about three clicks, and make sure it spins freely. And yeah, then put this little cover back on, and that's the handbrake adjusted. So, and yes, you do got to have the handbrake off to adjust it.
So what are we doing now, mate?
Just going to put some engine oil in it. These things hold about, roughly about 11.5 litres.
So what are we doing now, Aaron?
So basically put oil in it, start it up. I'm just priming the fuel pedals up so it doesn't suck the air in. Yeah.
So we've actually got to do it twice in this truck because we've got two tanks, right?
Yeah, because you've got two tanks, you have a quarter for each tank.
Yeah.
So basically, this way, when I'm priming up, or I just got to flip it to the switch to go run up the other tank, and I just keep pumping it and get fuel in there. And yeah, that way it doesn't suck air in and stall on us. Yeah.
We've done the 60,000 K service. Was there anything alarming that you think we found there today?
No, not really. I think everything shows me that the truck's just meant to do what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
And that it's built to take the punishment and the roads that we drive on.
So I guess the question is that you've seen a lot of these trucks over the years, bushfire trucks, they've been around for a long time. Now, since they've modified them now and we put the super singles on the front, can you see any extra wear or anything that may indicate that they may be creating any damage to the truck, or do you think it's suited to it?
Mate, I don't think the tyres are creating any extra load or any extra stress. When you look at them wheel bearings in a hole, I would find that exactly the same as what I'd find with a normal wheel on it. I don't see anything alarming. Sure, if you went out and actually put it under a lot of load, you'll see differences, but this is built to do a job, and the wheels, they just aren't creating any dramas. It's actually good to see.
Yeah, well that's good news there, because I was a bit worried having the bigger tyres and the extra load that might have been doing on the original, but no, as you're saying, it's squeaky clean. Oils, everything seemed pretty good that come out of it there, so...
Yeah, so everything, all the drivetrain's really good, the oil's nice and clean. The engine oil, we've flushed it so we can, ensure that it's running at its optimum. So that's good. We put an additive in as well. That's to give it longevity, to keep its life. I can't see how this truck just can't. If you keep the standard of servicing up, it'll just keep going and going and going. And I think the biggest thing is if you maintain and service these vehicles like this, like we're doing with Jono's truck, you're just going to get longevity out of it, and it'll keep going. There's no reason not to. If you're breaking things or things are going wrong, just reassess why it's done that, because majority we're getting good life out of them. And
so dare I say, you need to drive it like a truck, drive it responsibly, understand the size that you are,
Exactly.
understand the weight that you've got. And yeah, sure, you're going to get some criticism, but at the end of the day,
Look, we all like to think that it can do more than what it actually can, but I look at how you've been driving this truck for 60,000 kilometres and the brakes aren't bellowing, they're still good. There's no stress cracks in drums, there's just nothing that stands out and says, hey, there's a problem. So it also comes down to how you drive it and how you look after it, and it's a credit to what you're doing, and that just shows in how, when we service, like we've serviced your truck now for a while, and the only thing we've replaced is this wheel cylinder.
Yeah.
And that wheel cylinder is not really an Isuzu fault. It come down to the brakes just weren't adjusted enough when they needed to be.
Yeah.
And that's what causes wheel cylinders to fail. So really, I think in all, it's a pretty good outcome. 60,000 Ks carrying maximum weight.
Yeah.
And it's doing it really easy. I think it's great.
Well, you got to remember too, with the caravan on the back, we jump up to nearly 11 tonnes. So
Yep.
that's a lot of weight there. We are a truck, aren't we? You know.
Oh, look, for sure. And when you compare this and you put it beside, like with your van, like we'd be 4 foot off a prime mover. Like it's a big vehicle, so you definitely need to treat it like it's a truck. You don't see truck drivers done in and out of traffic, so what, you know.
You don't do the same in one of these.
That's it, and you know, you drive it accordingly, you will get many kilometres out of this vehicle. Japanese, Isuzu do it extremely well, and they always have. They are one of the go-to vehicles around the world, is Isuzu, so it's a credit to them, and now we've got them for what we do. I just can't see how you can go wrong.
Go wrong. Well, there you go, guys. 60,000 Ks on the truck. Beautiful. Everything's going well. So we'll do another major service, I'm guessing, at 120,000. So this service, let's just cover it off. We've done the bearings. We adjusted the brakes up. We've done the oil flush. We've done the oil. We've put the additive into it. Fuel filters. I think, Aaron, you blew out the air cleaner. And how did that look? The air cleaner wasn't too bad?
Yeah, the air cleaner was good, mate.
Yeah.
Clean, good. Not much dust's coming out of it, so.
So there we go. So, and that's running the snorkel as well, and I don't put anything over the snorkel. And as for those of you who know what this truck does, it does dirt roads. It doesn't sit on the bitumen. It doesn't sit at home in the shed. Well, it has lately, but you know. Well, there we go. Well, that's great news. So the truck's actually, it's held up better than what I actually expected for this duration. I'd say it's better than a Land Cruiser. Forgive me for saying that, but yeah, happy days. Let's get on with it. All right, for those of you that do need a trucking in the Hunter Valley area, Jamie, Aaron and Kate, of course, not here today. A1 Muffler here at East Maitland. Perfect guys to go to. Years of experience behind these trucks, and they'll help look after you like they look after me. Anyway, guys, until next time, John O, J&A Down Under. Thank you.